Hello, good evening, and welcome to PM Express. It's another Monday, and the question is, are teachers unnecessarily adamant, or it's government's inactions ransoms our children? You can let us hear your opinion on this via text 1760. Post your comments on our Facebook portals. Now, many were those who thought the introduction of the single spine salary structure will see the back of labor agitations. That was just wishful thinking, as the reverse instead is the case. The SSSS brought on its heels serious agitations which both the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and government have not had much luck in resolving. Now, imagine your child in an exam hall being invigilated by the cook of the school. Not a very pleasant picture, I guess, but it is the picture presented by parents. Presented parents by NAT and NAGRAT's strike. Crunch meetings to resolve the problem has deadlocked. Are the teachers justified, or the problem lies with government? These are some of the critical issues we'll be addressing tonight on PM Express. Who is to blame for this impasse, and how do we cross this hurdle so not to affect our children, who we say are the future leaders? Some say they are the leaders now, today. Be part of the discussion, because we have all the angles covered by text. You can reach us, text 1760. That's the text line. We'll take a break.
Welcome to PM Express.
Tonight, my guest to my immediate left is Christian Adai-Poku, who is NAGRAT president. And then next to him, I have Kwame Ahinakwa-Kwashi, who is officer in charge of salaries, terms, and conditions at the NAT, Ghana National Association of Teachers. Later on in the show, I will get onto the phone lines to speak with the Minister of Information, Mahama Yariga, and then Cornelius Yossen, the Director of Grievances, Negotiations, and Collective Bargaining at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Gentlemen, it's great to have you in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've been here, the same problem now and then. Let me start with you, Nagrat. It's your timing of the strike not too off target.
Well, I don't know what people want to say about the timing of our strike. What is important to us is that no time is good or bad.
I mean, they're writing their final exams and you have the heart to strike?
No time is good or bad in the time of a student. Because if a teacher goes on strike at the beginning of the term, the student is denied of his teacher. The lessons, the periods that are supposed to be covered during the time will not be covered. If the teacher goes on strike when the students are preparing to write exams, the preparation that they will need to be able to write the examination will not be available. So irrespective of which time the teacher goes on strike, it has implications for the student. But the question that I think people should be asking is, why should people go on strike?
We've heard your story over and over again.
That's the point.
We think we have an understanding of why you're going on strike, but the point is, why now? There've been several back and forth negotiations to get your concerns resolved, but you are adamant. Are you sensitive at all? Half of the time, some of your members are out of the classroom anyway, doing their own things. So now that the students need you, the crunchy moment, you're out.
In January, I think I was here. I sat in this very chair with you, and I espoused teachers' concerns. I explained it to Ghanaians, the difficulties we are going through, and the need for authorities to act at the time. I emphatically stated that we are getting closer to SSCE and BECE, and there is the need for authorities to act before that time. NAGRAT was at the brink of strike action at the time. Then some authorities stepped in, some directives were given, some promises were given. We were hoping that the issues would be resolved so that we wouldn't get to this stage. Unfortunately, the directives that were given were not complied with. Promises that were made were not redeemed. And that is why we are where we are
All right,
today.
so take us back to January and walk us through till now what progress has been made which you are not satisfied with in the first place, so that we'll get a better understanding of who has been putting in effort to resolve what, and then whether the timelines are fair.
Yes, on 20th January, when NAGRAT had given an ultimatum of 25th to begin a strike action, at that time, NAGRAT and NAT were working together on the collective agreement and other issues. All the issues that NAGRAT raised are also the issues of NAT. So NAGRAT raised the red flag, going on strike on 25th. Then on 20th, we were invited to the presidency at that time at the Osu Castle. We met the executive secretary to the president. We met the chief of staff himself. And they told us categorically that the president was not in the country at the time. He was in Ethiopia. And he has mandated them to meet us, discuss our issues, and see how they will be able to solve the problem. I think that meeting was initiated by Honorable Ayariga, the then minister designate for Ministry of Information. When we met, it was agreed that the issues are pertinent. There's a need to address those issues, and therefore a working group should be set up to look at the issues. So it was agreed that from the 25th, within 6 weeks from the 25th, the working group will begin and end its work, and then the issues will be resolved. While we're doing this, Labour Commission also invited the teacher unions, of which NAT and then CCT attended. And the Labour Commission also gave some directives on some of the issues that are supposed to be resolved concerning invigilation allowance that the Labour Commission said it should be negotiated and concluded before the beginning of the examination. And as I speak, visual arts has been written, home economics, they have done their choice of dishes that you're going to prepare and so on. Practical subjects are going on. So if you are supposed, that directive is that negotiate the invigilation allowance before the start of the examination. Examination has started, you expect teachers to go and invigilate, and they don't know how much they're going to take. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world.
Let me shift from you to Mr. Ahina Kwakwashi. Now, Nat and Nagrat, are you on the same page?
Yes.
You are on the same page.
So
what demands at all are you making which you can't let the students write their final exam and then perhaps go back to the negotiating table?
Now, the issues that we are most concerned about are basically four. Now, as at January, there were about 7. By now, there are 4.
So it means some of the issues have been resolved.
They are not being resolved totally.
But you are satisfied?
We are not satisfied yet, but we think that we should leave those things for now.
You've toned down on your hardline position.
So basically the 4 issues.
Is that what it is? You've decided to tone down on some of the issues.
Basically the 4 issues that we are confronted with. 1, the non-negotiation of new proposals of the collective agreement for the teaching employees of GS. And then 2, the freeze on the annual incremental credits. Then 3, the non-payment of vehicle maintenance allowance. And then delays which are associated with the issues about promotion and
so really your concern is not about salary?
No, as for salary, we know that for 2013, we are nowhere near it at all. Because basically, the minimum wage, the national daily minimum wage, has not been determined yet. And once that has not been determined, there's no way we can begin even the negotiations of the base pay and then the pay point relativity for 2013. So we are not touching on those things. This one, it is about our collective agreement, which has expired. You understand?
I'm listening.
And we, together with NAGRAT, have revised the collective agreement. What we need to do now is to negotiate with our management.
And that is not forthcoming?
And that is not forthcoming.
And
because the collective
whose fault
agreement,
is that?
We think that the problem is coming from Fair Wages and Salaries
Fair
Commission.
Wages and Salaries Commission. I have Cornelius Yorson on the line now. He's Director, Grievances, Negotiations and Collective Bargaining at the Fair Wages Commission. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us on PM Express.
Good evening.
We're back here again. I mean, the last time we spoke to you, you espoused your reasons why you think the teachers are being unreasonable. But it does appear that you are part of the main problem, which is leading to our children being held at ransom. Is that what you think?
No, first, I've not said that teachers have been unreasonable. I don't use such words at all. However, to say that the National Labour Commission never gave a ruling concerning invigilation allowance. The reason is that invigilation allowance is a third-party issue. It's a matter between West African Exams Council and those who invigilate. It's not even about teachers. Any kind of person who goes to invigilate, they pay some allowance. That is why it is not a negotiable matter per se, because they are conducting exams. They want people to come and invigilate. You invigilate. They have a certain fee for you or money for you as some kind of allowance. You collect it. So National Labour Commission has not got that power to rule on invigilation allowance. It's a third-party allowance. Indeed, throughout West Africa, it is only in Ghana that an amount or an allowance is paid for invigilation. In the other parts of Africa...
Mr. Yossin, I'll quickly hold you there. I need a reaction from the NAT representative, Kwame Ahina-Kwakwashi, who I saw you nodding. Is there anything that Mr. Yossin is raising which you think that you want to interject?
Yes. I am very surprised that Mr. Yossin is now saying that invigilation allowance is a third-party issue that we need to negotiate with our management.
It's not.
It is. So if it is, why is he preventing us from doing that?
Is it the Fair Wages Commission which is preventing you?
Because we have incorporated this into our collective agreement.
And the Fair Wages is preventing you?
And the Fair Wages is preventing because
how is it preventing you?
They are saying that the collective agreement has salary and non-salary related issues. And they have been given the mandate under the Fair Wages Act 737. You understand? So they are not, GS management wrote to them for mandate, and they are not giving them.
So Cornelius, if you're there, you heard Mr. Ahina-Kwakwashi saying that Fair Wages Commission, you are preventing this negotiation, which you said that is they have a right to do third-party negotiations. What's your reaction to that?
When I say that it is third-party, what it means is that it has nothing to do with us, and therefore they don't need our mandate to negotiate it. That's what I'm saying. It's a third-party matter. It has nothing to do with fair wages. So if you want to go and talk about it or discuss it, you can discuss it. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that throughout West Africa, invigilation is seen as part of the work of the teacher, as part of the job description of the teacher, and so therefore they don't even give anybody an allowance. It's only in Ghana that somehow they've been able to have something like that, and so therefore, strictly speaking, it's not even a negotiable matter. You are coming to conduct exams, they are giving you something to take care of you for the day, because you see, the vigilation is done using the same hours that you are supposed to vigilate.
Mr. Yossin, if you have this posturing, I wonder whether you are going to get an agreement from the NAT and NAGRAT to let our children go on with their exam. I mean, if you're...
I don't like the use of your word posturing. You see, sometimes the facts also must be put out there so that the NAGRAT themselves or the
yeah, but if you are not if you're not compromising on the issues and the stands, and you're refusing perhaps to understand the position of NAT and NAGRAT, then
will tell you that
you get nowhere.
Hold on. Bible will tell you that compromise is. We are not talking about compromise. We are talking about agreement as to whether this is so or that this is not so. And I'm telling you that fair wages and salary has nothing to do with the invigilation allowance. So if they have to negotiate or discuss with West African Exam Council, why don't they go ahead and discuss it and trying to say that fair wages, they need mandates from fair wages? You see what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm also saying that at the National Labour Commission, nothing about invigilation allowance was discussed. At the National Labour Commission, what Fair Wages and Salaries said that Fair Wages and Salaries is saying that there are existing allowances that are in the old collective agreements. Those existing allowances, they should go ahead and pay them at the existing rate, pending the negotiation of the categories 2 and 3 allowances, which are monetary allowances, which the Fair Wages and Salaries Act actually enjoins fair wages and salaries to negotiate on. So So in the meantime, together with vehicle maintenance and etc., those existing allowances should be paid at the existing rate. And I don't think that this, you see, it is not only a matter about teachers. It's a matter for the whole public services that existing allowances have to be paid at the existing rate. It doesn't only concern teachers, you see, so that to say that because students are going to write exam and somebody more or less is using that as an opportunity to go on strike, and because of that, accede to them, it's a bit difficult to understand because it concerns the whole larger public services. It is for the whole larger public services that existing allowances are being asked to pay at the existing rate.
Right. So let me ask you, Mr. Yolson, do you hope for an amicable settlement to this impasse, which has been dragging, going back and forth? I mean, you were in our studios in January to discuss the same issue, and 3 months on, if we don't have any heads on with what's happening, you must be worried.
Well, you know, that is why we have the National Labour Commission. And we would have thought that once the National Labour Commission, which is empowered by statute to be umpires or arbitrators in a dispute in Ghana, once they call us before the National Labour Commission and we are discussing, for example, today we were there and we are discussing, they've asked us to bring our various submissions to them. Wednesday we are going to meet again. One would have thought that then you know that the matter is in proper hands. And so, therefore, you are going to look at it. On 14th March, last Wednesday, we met all the unions and associations within the Ghana Education Service. We met them. We came to very fruitful agreement on a lot of the matters, only to hear the strike action of the next day. Indeed, Nagiat went away from the meeting at the tail end of the meeting. And our information is that they were going to go into National Congress or whatever, Congress or Council meeting. It was at this council meeting that the strike was declared. And yet they had just come out of a meeting in which, for example, the issue of the incremental jump has been agreed about.
Right, Mr. Yolson, I'll get a quick reaction. I'll get a quick reaction from NAGRA President Christian Adaipoku. Then I'll give you a chance also to rebut. Do you have any concerns with the issues that Mr. Yolson is raising?
I think it's unfortunate the claims that Mr. Yolson is making. In the first place, in GES' own press statement that was issued on the 23rd January 2012, the GES stated here that following series of meetings with the unions having agreed to consider invigilation and supervision as part of the conditions of service, management has directed that the issue should be taken up during the negotiations of the proposed conditions of service. In order to address the issue on time, management has decided to discuss that the discussions on the issue should be brought forward in order that whatever decision that will be taken could be effected before 2013 WASI begins. The implication is that, I mean, the idea behind this is that WAEC has already charged its own fees, and government normally subsidizes the June SSE. So in this case, WAEC will not be able to raise that money. It is government of Ghana that will have to find money to pay, because they should have negotiated this long before WAEC charged students their registration fees. They didn't do that. So now, if you ask WAEC to pay any negotiated amount, it will be very difficult for WAEC. So government of Ghana will have to come in. And insofar as government of Ghana is going to come in, the money is going to come from government. And if the money is going to come from government, by law, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission must be the instrument through which mandate can be sought for the negotiation to take place. And that is why GES wrote to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission for mandate for WAEC invigilation. It is not that it's a third-party thing and so on. It has been agreed amongst us that it's going to be part of the conditions of service and therefore must be negotiated at our level. It is, truly speaking, I think that the difficulties we are facing today is because Mr. Yolson wrote a letter to GES, of which we were copied, telling all of us that both, all aspects of the conditions of service, both financial and non-financial aspects, GES didn't have the mandate to negotiate. At that time, we had met and we had agreed that we were going to use 2 weeks to finish the negotiation. From that time, that was 14th, I think we were 14th of February. We're going to finish negotiation within 2 weeks. But When they wrote to Fair Wages and Service Commission for mandate, the reply was that the GES didn't have the mandate at all to talk about conditions of service. Let us put it on record that the conditions of service that we are using now, when we were agreeing upon it, it was agreed that the lifespan of that collective agreement is supposed to be 3 years. 3 years have come and gone. So nobody can sit somewhere and say that we have no right to negotiate our collective agreement.
Is that a question?
Yes, sir. I still insist that fair wages is the cause of all these problems. Because one, we have revised our conditions, collective agreement, good. And fair wages, according to their own act and then their functions, Section 3G, it says that for fair wages to achieve its objects, the Commission shall coordinate, manage, and monitor all collective bargaining processes where government is direct or indirect employer. So in this situation, we as employees of Ghana Education Service, we have revised our conditions of service. So if you are to coordinate, manage, and then monitor these collective bargaining processes, and GES is asking you for mandate, if you are not ready to give them that mandate, come and sit with us and negotiate. Then all these problems will be a thing of the past. Come and sit with us and then negotiate. Come to the table. But don't hide behind these things and then create problems for all of us.
So tell me which role, let me put it to you. Let me change this whole accusation of who is responsible, who is not responsible. A labor expert, Austin Game, accuses both NAT and NAGRAD for sidestepping the procedure and resolving labor grievances. That's what you're doing,
So
isn't
what
it?
was the procedure? We are asking them to come and negotiate with us. They have been given the mandate because, again, if you look at the Fair Wages Act Section 2C, it says that to undertake fair wages is supposed to undertake negotiations where compensation is financed from public funds. And what are public funds? Public funds are the contingency fund, the consolidated fund, and any other fund that Parliament will give approval through an act or whatever. You understand? So they have the responsibility to come and sit with us and negotiate. We have revised our conditions of employment. We have revised our collective agreement. And all these things are being incorporated there. So come and sit with us. If we are not giving GS the mandate, come and sit with us. Why are they refusing?
Well, you're watching PM Express live here on your Joy News channel, Multi TV. You can join us by text 1760. Post your Facebook comments on our Facebook or facebook.com/Joy News. And if you're active on Twitter, you can send us a tweet at Joy News on TV. We're joined on the line now by Mahama Yariga, who is Minister of Information in charge of media relations. I'm trying to get used to getting your correct title. It's great to have you here, Ms. Ayariga.
Thank you.
Now, let me quickly ask you, is it government's opinion that the teachers are demanding too much?
Well, I think there's really no issue about demand because I don't think that I have heard the teacher or whoever it is that is in your studio asking for any specific amount of money. I think their issues are being dealt. I don't know whether there is a gap between the union and members. But the last time we had an opportunity to discuss these same issues, it was obvious that the issues are being appropriately addressed. And if we were to communicate to our members, maybe it would take away some misunderstanding. Typical example being what I just heard him discussing, that is the issue of the collective bargaining agreement. It is true that they usually negotiate with their employers, who traditionally will be GES, but the Fair Wages legislation says that Fair Wages should supervise this, and Fair Wages has decided that it should be coordinated holistically, and so these matters are being dealt with in a coordinated and a more structured way. and discussions are already ongoing.
So, Mr. Ayerga, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let me cut you in. I mean, you said that coordinated efforts are being done. I need you to tell us exactly, perhaps more specifically, what's being done to resolve this impasse.
We've had a dialogue, and the leadership of NAT have asked us to give them time to consult with their partners. So who will be NAGRAT? So if it is about the impasse, I think that will be resolved. But the issues that have been raised, I was just trying to explain to you that they are being dealt with, and I'm sure that the leadership will communicate to the members. And in fact, these are issues that are being dealt with. For instance, they talk about delays in promotions. And I'm told by GS that the promotion interviews will actually start Tuesday next week in the various regions. So steps have been taken, and it wasn't just yesterday that it was decided the promotion interviews will start next week Tuesday. You will appreciate that a lot of administrative work goes into conducting a nationwide promotion interviews in all the regions. So GS must have started working on this long before today. And so it is not as if GS is just sitting idly and not dealing with their issues. So I think that
but NAGRAT,
the unions have to engage with their employer.
Well, but NAGRAT
and
NAT say that in January, I mean, they were impressed upon by the various stakeholders, representative governments and the other stakeholders to rescind their decision in going on strike with a promise that their issue will be resolved. So perhaps 3 months on, if the issues have not been resolved, would you not say that it's fair for them to take a little more hardline position to get their demands met?
It depends on the specific issues. And I think that it will be good that you prioritize, you determine what capacity there is for resolving the issues, so that you really appreciate when effort is being made to resolve the issues. I mean, there are some issues that are purely administrative, such as dealing with the promotions issue. There again, as you can see, is being resolved. The issue about the collective bargaining agreement, I know that there are meetings held between the leadership of the unions and the various agencies of government that are involved in these discussions. So talking is taking place,
right,
and frameworks are being agreed upon.
Right.
Most of the issues that they have raised, I can give you details, and I can assure you that the relevant agencies are taking appropriate steps. In some cases, you may, complain about the bureaucracy and delays. We hope that going forward as a country, when we become more efficient, and we are working towards becoming more efficient, the speed will be impressive.
Will be faster.
But I can assure you that nobody's taking their issues lightly.
Okay, so we still want to give them
about those issues.
Yeah, we want to give them a chance to react to some of the issues that you've raised. Let me give you a few minutes. Let's say 1-2 minutes, Mr. Hinakwa.
During Mr. Honorable's presentation, he says that Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is coordinating all these processes. Now, let me give you a gist about what is happening at the Public Services Joint Standing Negotiation Committee level. Now, at that level, with respect to the categories 2 and 3 allowances, Fair Wages themselves have come out to say that there are some of the allowances which are common to all the 9 service classifications under the pay policy. There are others which are peculiar to the individual service classifications. Then just now, Mr. Yeltsin was also saying that even within the individual service classification, there are others which are peculiar to single entities. You understand?
Yeah.
So for us as GES, where we belong to the pre-tertiary education, there are some categories which are peculiar to teachers only. So if Fair Wages is not giving us, it's not sitting down with us, then where do we go?
So what, you think fair wages has failed or government has failed?
Me, I'll not even mention government. It is fair wages because we have come out with these proposals all incorporated into the collective agreement. We have given them a copy. We have given GS management a copy. Then GS management, because they know that some of them have salary and non-salary related issues, they wrote to fair wages for mandate to enable us meet. The fair wages will right to say that they don't have the mandate. So if they don't have the mandate, we are saying that come and sit with us and let's negotiate. And what is preventing them? What is preventing them?
Mr. Dusepoku, what is preventing them? Do you know?
Yes, what I want to say is that when we talk about the collective agreement, it makes the matter look simple. But that is where the real problem is.
I'm told that Cornelius Yorson is still on the line. So, Cornelius, if you had the back and forth, the consensus is that Fair Wages Commission, you have failed.
You see, Nagrat, all this while, Nagrat, I don't know about the meeting at the last time, but Nagrat has made a no-show in most of these fora. National Labour Commission, the first time, this January meeting they are talking about, they were not there. But on the meeting of the 13th of March, Nagrat was there. And far-reaching decisions were made. Today, we're the National Labour Commission. The National Labour Commission is going to determine these matters as to whether Fair Wages and Salaries Commission will meet the teachers directly about some of those things, or is GES which will meet the teachers. And they are not even aware of the position as of today. Our appeal to them to be part of the process instead of being out in the media. Two, our appeal to them to go back to work because it is only at the table that these matters can be resolved, not in the media, not in a strike action. So I appeal to them that they should come to the table. We are meeting the National Labour Commission again on Wednesday, where they are going to make a determination. The letter is in front of me, that on Wednesday they are going to make a determination about these very matters that they are talking about. So I believe that I will appeal to them that they should come to the table, they should stop the strike, come to the table and have a real discussion at the table. Then we can all have the way forward about the issues.
Mr. Dusepoku, stop the strike, go back to the negotiating table. Are you going to do that?
Please, let me say that Nagrat will not intentionally refuse to attend any meeting. If we are really serious to have
so that's
serious
true
discourse,
that you have been absenting yourself
let me talk about
during
it.
negotiation of,
for example,
critical issues, and yet you are making the loudest demands.
Today's meeting, for instance, 9:30, Nagrat was served with an invitation to attend a meeting at 11. All the national officers of Nagrat are teachers in the classroom. They were outside Accra. I don't know how I was going to fly to from Kumasi to Accra from 9 to 11. So we wrote back to the National Labour Commission. The letter, they have replied that letter here. We wrote to them asking that meeting should be rescheduled. They have replied that they have moved it to Wednesday.
So you will attend Wednesday.
So we don't run away from any meeting if it is appropriately.
But what about
scheduled.
Stop the strike and go back to negotiating?
That's what
the law says. We know the Labour Act is clear that while negotiations are ongoing, you cannot lay down your tools. Why are you breaching this provision?
Please, Yorson is making the matter look simple, but it's not simple.
But the law says that you don't have to be on strike whilst negotiating. Please. What about that?
The law gives unions the chance. It's one of the things that is that the law approves for a union to go on strike.
Which part of the law approves that?
Please, if you go to section 160, it gives the chance to unions to go on strike by notifying their employer in advance 7 days, after which you have the right to go on strike if there is a stalemate. And all these issues that we are talking about, they have been back and forth. So when people are talking and they make it seem as if it is illegal to go on strike in this country, it is not true. There are processes that we are supposed to follow.
But it is illegal to go on strike whilst your negotiations are ongoing.
Negotiation has broken down when our employers sought mandate and the mandate was denied. It was a fight between, a tango between GES and Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. As for us as employees, all we needed was that we have come to you that our retention premium has, outlived its usefulness.
So what will make you go back to the classroom tomorrow?
Let's sit down and negotiate our collective agreement, which will include some allowances
so
like
retention premium. Negotiate, you go back.
Retention premium is given Vehicle maintenance allowance, which has been in arrears for more than 15 months, paid.
Should be paid, otherwise you're not going.
Those are the things.
That's
incremental credit.
That's very harsh.
For 3 years, pay. Promotion issues, we are not only talking about the fact that promotion should be conducted for the backlog, but those who have gained promotion already. There are so many issues there that are supposed to be handled.
Well, let me go back to, I want to wrap up with Honorable Minister so we can let him off. Or either something you wanted to raise so he can address?
Yes. No, it's what Mr. Yoxon said.
Yeah, okay.
No, he was saying that 13th March they had a meeting. Now, that meeting was as a result of a meeting which the Public Services Joint Standing Negotiation Committee meeting had on 26th February 2013. Now, the issue that we raised, which culminated in the 13th meeting, was that we have been denied our incremental credits, right? Now, this incremental credit is as a result of the fact that we were migrated in 2011 based on a cutoff date of 2009. And they came out with their own guidelines, you understand? Now, the guideline says that if you have worked less than 1 year, you'll be put on the new salary structure, step 1. Between 1 and 3 years, you'll be put on step 2. Between 4 and 7 years, you'll be put on step 3. 8 years plus, you'll be put on step 4. You understand? Then they use the cutoff date of 2009. So assuming 2009, if I was on step 3, then they will migrate me to step 2 on the new structure. Now, people have been migrated in 2012, and the understanding was that they were going to use the cutoff date of 2009. They didn't use that. So they used the 2012. So somebody who had worked who was on step 3, 2009, by 2012, the person will be on step 6. And by their own guidelines, that person will be put on step 3. So he's ahead of me. You understand? Then I have been migrated in February 2011 using 2009 data, and you are still denying me of my incremental credits. We have talked over this for the past 2 years. We're not seeing eye to eye with us. Only last 26th. Then they say, and now they understand us. So they are going to work on it. Then the 13th meeting came. Nothing has been done. And how long does it take to calculate these things? On my iPad, I have it, everything there. And to even surprise you to know that the differences are not even much. You understand?
But if they are not much, then
you
shouldn't have gone on strike then.
It's important. Every peso is important. Every peso is important. We must demand it. We must demand it, and we are going to demand that.
Well, it looks like it's steaming up. If Mr. Yolson is there, I want to give you the final closing remarks. Really, I mean the verdict here. The verdict here is that they will not call off the strike until you've met all their demands. Is this feasible for the Fair Wages Commission?
You see, he was talking about the incremental credit. First and foremost, the incremental credit has to do with everybody, not only teachers. 2, there was a certain agreement that because of the migration, it will be difficult to calculate the incremental credit. Now, because the issues have delayed, there's now a new agreement that, okay, we'll work out the incremental credit for everybody and work it out. And that one was agreed on the meeting of...
Mr. Yolson,
yes.
we seem to be going back and forth and fixing blames. Tell me, does the Fair Wages Commission have a strategy to negotiate?
But again, I will urge them that it is only at the table that agreement can be reached. You cannot be out there and demand. It is at the table that we meet and we agree. It's not a demand in the sense that you don't give it to us, we don't agree. No, you come on the table, we agree on the issue. Because, you see, I like the way Christian Adepoku has spoken so far, very cool and all that. It is because as we are all moving on, we are all understanding the issues. Then we'll come to a point where we all come to a certain understanding, and then there's an agreement. You see, and then we move forward from there. So it's only at the table that we can agree. So they should come back to the table, we agree, then the matters are resolved. And I will urge them to do that. And I've been saying that often on various networks, that it is only at the table that you can, you're not out there in the strike. Labour Commission is there to become the umpire for the whole issue. If you don't do it right, the Labour Commission will be there to put us right. If they don't do it right, the Labour Commission can also put them right.
So you do not accept that you have failed in any of these processes?
No, at all. How have you failed? It's not only about teachers they are talking about. These same concerns they are talking about, others have it. You see, but we have met. There's excessive goodwill. There's a goodwill to meet and talk about it. And that's why we are talking. I just as you rightly said, if we are talking, there shouldn't be anything like we are out there, etc. I don't want to incense things at all. But so far, it's only this network I've spoken to so far on the matter. A lot of my, so that's why I've not talked about it. But I believe that the way out actually is for us to sit and talk and not to be out there.
Thank you very much, Cornelius Yosin, as Director, Grievances, Negotiations and Collective Bargaining at the Fair Wages Commission. He's gone, though, but you can still react to some of the things you disagree.
He's telling us that because some people are not demanding, we should not demand it.
Well, he's saying that you have to, he likes your posturing. He says you're very cool, and then so you should go back to the negotiating table.
He knows that at any point in time, I am a cool person, but I'm assertive on the issues that I always want to raise. As I was talking about the collective agreement, we spoke about retention premium for teachers, which we think that what the Fair Wages is doing to teachers is a raw deal. We will give some people 96% of their salary as market premium. You give some 120% as market premium. You give some 90% and so on. You're going to give teacher 15%. Meanwhile, the job factors that you used in evaluating the jobs, you have done that. The single spine salary structure has been constructed. So if per the job evaluation, my score is say 8, and per the 8, I'm supposed to receive let's say 800 Ghana cedis. That is what the pay is giving me. You have given everybody according to his results on the job evaluation. Then you have gone ahead to give some people 90%, 100%, and so on and so forth. That is where the problem lies. All the issues we are talking about our collective agreement. We want them to sit down with us and renegotiate retention premium. And when that one is done, and teachers are satisfied with that, everything that is, is just an added advantage. But the most important thing is that when we start the collective agreement negotiation, retention premium will be revised. Right. And then there will be equity.
So Ms. Ahinako Kwashi, let me understand in quantum terms, how much money are you expecting?
As an individual?
No, I mean, perhaps, yes, as individuals,
no,
maybe you can round up how much members are going on strike for.
By our calculation, the incremental credits for 2010, I think the total is about 29 million.
And can you say for each
then 2011, the total is
when you say 29 million, you mean 2,900 Ghana cedis for each person, or
29,974,570.2 for 2010 for all the GS staff.
Okay, all right.
Then 2011, it is 35,805,887.76. Then for 2012, we have 42,425,104.44.
That's a lot of money, you know.
But the government has money to pay this.
If you have this position that government has money to pay, this will be diverting.
I didn't ask them to postpone this debt. They did it themselves. Because when they were doing, we told them. Like they did for the arrest. You know, it was 2010, 2011 arrest. They postponed payment, and then they paid them in 2012. And now they are saying that they are using 70% or so in paying salaries.
Right. Ms. Ahinako Kwashi, I'm told that we have Labour expert Austin Game, who called in to join this discussion. We're grateful for your time, sir. Good evening.
Thank you.
I know
good evening to my two friends sitting there.
Yeah, I know your position has always been that if there are ongoing negotiation processes, then the teachers should not be going on strike. You still stand by that, right?
Certainly, yes. And I think the two gentlemen there, I wish them well. But let me say it in a frank term. Because my name was mentioned earlier, and then it refers to the law, I think we need to just put certain things in proper perspective.
Yes.
The reality is that Section 160 can only be quoted after you exhaust Section 159. And what it means is that you were negotiating, you reached a stalemate, and you tried to engage yourself to do the right thing. They have even appointed an arbitrator during the proceedings that's ongoing. One party, let's say, example, them, the two parties, then feel that the whole proceedings was not going in the way they wanted. So they decided to give 7 days notice to both the employer and the National Labour Commission. Like my friend, the president of NASDAQ rightly said, then Labour Commission can then now invite them during the course of these 7 days and try to assist them to resolve their differences. But while this type of negotiation is ongoing, and you declare this, you cannot be on strike and be negotiating with your other party. That is all I've been telling them. And they have the right to go on legitimate strike once they exhaust the procedures. So I will urge them on. Whereas it is true that they can go demanding whatever they want, it is only fair that they stop the strike, go back to the classroom, go to the negotiation table, put their case across as strongly, as firmly as they are doing it, but in a friendly manner. We don't do it in the way they are doing it.
Mr. Jose Poku seemed to disagree with you.
My name is Adai Poku.
Adai Poku.
I think that Mr. Austin Gabi has not been briefed well on what is going on. We started negotiation. Negotiation has broken down.
We'd be grateful if you could speak louder a bit. Yeah.
Negotiation has broken down. The law doesn't say that compulsorily you have to go for arbitration. When negotiations break down, you have the right to declare deadlock and notify the Labour Commission of your intention to go on strike. It is when you finish your 7 days that the Labour Commission can then commit you to compulsory arbitration. Before that time, you have the option to go for arbitration or mediation. It's optional. It's not compulsory.
Right. So, Mr. Gama, you heard, yeah, sure, you want to say something.
You say that we are negotiating. Whom are we negotiating with? That's the question. Who?
So that's
it GES or is it
that's a thorny issue that there's no clear negotiation processes that
Who is negotiating with us?
So, Mr. Gama, you heard them. Their position is that there is no clear negotiation processes yet, and Mr. Adai Poku is of the view that under the circumstances they cannot be compelled to go on compulsory arbitration.
Well, we all heard that. Indeed, they themselves said it on your network a while ago, that they were invited to a meeting, they attended various meetings, except that they were not getting to the stage where they will be satisfied. And that is their concern. And indeed, let me confirm that the National Labour Commission has the right at any point in time to give an order as to how the processes should be governed. And that it is not when you give 7 days and then you decide to go on strike before any other negotiation. You cannot be on strike and be negotiating. That's the point I'm raising. 1273 prevents them from doing that. You cannot be on strike and be negotiating. It's not fair.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Austin Game. I'm afraid we don't have a lot of time, and we're very grateful for your insightful contributions. I have some Facebook comments, and I'll run through some of them. Mauli Sapon says, the problem lies with the government. The government has money to send pastors to Israel to pray rather than solving important issues in the country. Francis Akon says, the government is underworking, so we're not going back. Period. And Nana Abina Odei says, we aren't going back to the classroom unless this issue is well attended to. Period. I told my pupils to go home today and come back only when there is further notice. Gabriel Fred Amba says, we can't continue to work for lazy people to chop the money. We deserve better from this corrupt leaders called government. Achu Millicent said, we have spoken. Bernard Achampong says, I think teachers are not treated well at all. My brother, it is time teachers enjoy better conditions of service. Sir Kobe of Mile 7 says, our teachers are on strike. Gas stations are posting no gas, yet government wants to waste $600,000 on Asofo to Israel. Alukus Tamale says, if the die is cast, no amount of prayer or witchery can stop the crossing of the Rubicon. The strike is in a good direction. Government must wake up to its responsibilities and stop this politics of communist inferior tactics. This remains unabated until a practical solution is given. Teaching is a noble profession. That's your opinion, Alokos. And Osaberimo Parikwachi says, I can't understand why Ghanaians will wake up one day on a demonstration angrily saying they don't like this government. It's very bad issue. My cousin is in the senior high school where teachers are on strike. And moreover, prep is in darkness. Where are we going? God have mercy on us. And Mensa Kunto says that Stephen blamed the government. They're destroying the teachers. Bibi of Edukrom says that after non-teaching staff supervises the WASI exams, they should continue to mark because no one is ready to mark such papers. And Nelson from Bole says that give what belongs to Caesar and what belongs to God to God. If MPs will take so much and boycott proceedings in Parliament, then nobody should complain about the teacher strike. And Joseph Boache from Techima, you say, I think government is taking the teachers for granted until our needs are met. We're not going back to the classroom. That's your position. Awini from Kumasi says, Ghanaian teachers are greedy and so selfish. They always strike when their students are preparing for their exams. Their students' performances are nothing but mass failures. And Mensa Kunto, you said it again, that we should blame government. I've read it already. And Dixon Dizar from Laura, you say the NDC government is not only ungrateful to teachers, but the whole of Ghanaians. Government allocates themselves fat salaries and allowances, yet cannot satisfy our precious teachers. God save us. Teachers, more vim. That's the only language the government understands. And Anthony Hope Ahedo, you say that we teachers can't work for others to enjoy. The most annoying is for David Annan to say, if we don't like our salaries, we should stop teaching. We also deserve the car loans. Not we live to teach. Foga Desde Inukunu says that should invigilation be compulsory to teachers? The way some students are behaving on their campuses, I would not be surprised if a teacher is blackmailed into examination hall by his own students. It is risky to invigilate WASI. Akoto Razak from Tamale says the issue of strike is now becoming a national anthem by the Ghanaian workers in resolving the issue. I can't get it very well, Akoto Razak, but you say teachers should consider the students' future and return to the classroom. And Sky, you say Nat and Nagrat are a big disappointment. It seems they are not in the firm grip of what they're talking about. They deem to be shifting the post at all the time. What are these leaders of the teachers doing? They must be serious. And Henry from Nkoko, you say teachers of today are heartless. They should remember they themselves were taught by dedicated teachers. And Estelo in Ho says the actions of these teachers cannot be justified and could best be described as educational terrorism. Their leadership must be monitored by the national security. And Edu from Wenchi, you say teachers have been cheated for far too long. I'm afraid there's so many that I might not be able to read all of them. Quickly, I want to get reactions from some of the specific messages that are coming in. Estelo in Ho says, the action of these teachers cannot be justified. Best be described as educational terrorism. Their leadership must closely be monitored by national security. Let me give you the chance to react.
That's his or her opinion.
His or her opinion?
Yes.
You don't think that this amounts to educational terrorism?
It doesn't.
And then Sky says that the Nat and Nagraj are a big disappointment.
Today. The issue didn't start today. And if we're a government that has your priorities right, I think that education should be one of the most important priorities.
Start from Ho says, Nagrat has no point. They're only being selfish. Are they having a bargaining certificate? I guess he wants to say, ask whether you have a bargaining certificate. They should listen to Michael Jackson's song, Care for the Children, and stop this unjustifiable strike. Mr. Adaipoko.
We find ourselves in a very difficult position because everybody in this country sympathizes with children, just like teachers. The unfortunate thing is that nobody wants to cater for the person who sacrifices his life to cater for these children. And that is the problem we face. When that person rises up to fight for his rights, he is lambasted, vilified. But then they always want to see that person doing his best to raise our children. I don't think that is fair. So those who try to insult teachers, vilify us, they shouldn't sequester the role of the teacher from his motivation. The two must move together. And so if the teacher is demotivated, you should know that he's not going to give the best to your children. So when the teacher is mistreated by society, he has to also rise up. Definitely, no matter the timing that the teacher will rise.
So how will you react if come next year, the exam results come for WASSCE and your students perform very bad?
I will feel bad that my students should perform bad. But I will blame...
Will you not blame yourself for that?
I wouldn't blame myself for it. I will blame authorities. I will blame the system that was supposed to work, which didn't work.
Do you have a child who is writing a WASSCE exam?
My child is not writing now, but the point is that I have many teachers around whose children are going to write. And I have many relatives whose children are going to write. I have many students that I like so much who are going to write. And so let's just not think that we are insensitive. We don't think that, we don't feel for our students. We do.
You do feel for them.
We do, but the society doesn't feel for us. And yet
you're going on strike. So, Mr. Ahina Kwakwasi, let me ask you, what will make you go back to the classroom? Let's say tomorrow. I keep saying tomorrow because I want to tag a timeline to it.
Today, government comes out to solve their problems. Tomorrow you will go.
But in the meantime...
We don't have any business taken away from our children.
In the meantime,
the strike must be addressed.
The strike is on, and until your demands are met, you're not going anywhere.
Definitely. We are not going back.
Well, my name is Stephen Enti, and this has been an interesting discussion on PM Express. We spoke about the teacher's stance versus what appears to be government inaction. You heard it, but that the teachers' associations are blaming the Fair Wages Commission, putting the blame squarely at the doorstep of the Fair Wages Commission, whilst Austin Game believes that the teachers must, of necessity, go back to the classroom as the law prescribes. Thank you very much for sending in your text messages and comments, which I read, most of them. We apologize for those of yours which we couldn't read. We had so many coming in. We're grateful to Muhammad Yariga, Minister of Information, who joined us on phone, and Cornelius Yossen, who is Director of Grievances and Negotiations at the Fair Wages Commission, also joined us. Mr. Austin Game also joined us on phone. My name is Stephen Enti. Good night.